All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Thursday afternoon live right here in the Cyber Group Trading Room, streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube Live. Welcome on back, guys. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. Ooh, another no water bottle meeting here. See how I fare out here. Great to see everybody, though. All of us live in the trading room, unanimous, loud and clear. Great to see everybody. Everybody should be doing pretty good. We've had a pretty good day thus far. ABUS ended up making a big pop going into this afternoon. So, I had the news to begin, guys. I was prepped up going into this meeting. So, right away, I'll just post it here for you guys. And Pat did earlier inside our trading room, at least. So, ABUS shares spike higher, files for confidential treatment with the SEC. It's the first of a few headlines. I'm not going to copy and paste them all, but I'll at least copy and paste that one. So yeah, ABUS, we ended up seeing make a huge pop, got halted once at least on the way up, ended up spiking back down at least for the meantime. So, for right now, I'll easily just put this on our list going into the afternoon. Let me ask you guys, how about this for all of us here inside the trading room more so? But hey, if you've been following along with myself personally inside this afternoon broadcast on social media, hey, chime in too. Aside from the good news coming out and ABUS, making this big grand pop, it got halted, moved up higher, and perhaps it'll squeeze up higher going into the close. Why else would I really be interested in this trade, guys? What about this trade really would pique my interest right now? Aside from the fact that it's, cheap, tight spread, very liquid order book. So, all of that alone, I would put on our list, right away. Wayne and Pat, right away in our chat board, at least. It's shortable. It's not hard to borrow, at least. Ron says you like money. Well, Ron, if that's the case, then I'd put every stock on the list. But actually, I wouldn't say that, because at that point, we wouldn't really be making as much money if we're so focused on all of these stocks. So, hey, for right now, ABUS, we like it, of course, for the breakout. If it ends up crapping out the other way, you can see it already just broke below 4. It might be a drop, then pop back over 4. So we'll see where this takes us going into the afternoon. I would trust the whole numbers. Like I said, 4 VWAPs at 383 right now heading into the afternoon. And again, just given the pop, I would say 50-cent levels on whole numbers just to follow as far as big increments heading into the afternoon. Oh, there's the drop and pop. It's kind of been the theme this afternoon. We've seen a few of that, a few of those this afternoon. So yeah, ABUS will put on our list right away. What we'll do is just go from top to bottom. Really, we'll begin with this missed trade. We were talking about this going into the meeting, and I left not too much money on the table on this one. Man, this thing ended up dropping off quite a bit before it ended up making its big move back up here. But, we ended up seeing missed as a pre-market play. I think I have the news on this as well. Just give me a quick sec. Yeah, give me a quick sec here. It's a whole long thing, so I'm not going to recite it for you guys. I'll just copy and paste here in the chat board. But good news regarding one of their studies on drugs. So, we ended up seeing a big spike up early in the pre-market. You could see it was a great trade after 8:30. Fausto always talks about the 8:30 move. Now I'm losing a lot of money here, or leaving a lot of money on the table, right? Here comes a halt. I think this is going to be a halt coming up. It's almost at that point. It's pulled back a bit. Saved itself some time. If it keeps popping at this rate up to the 71,000 share order on the ask at 9, I could easily see the stock getting halted like live right now. But yeah, missed. We ended up seeing this stock running, going right into the market open, something you normally don't tend to see. For what goes up does come back down though. So, after it made its big pop after the open, it came right back down, had a second serving, but ended up failing to break higher cleanly. Might do that just right now. Damn, this thing's on fire. Missed, ended up pulling back though. So I wanted to talk about this just from where this started off leading into this afternoon meeting, guys. We had a couple of questions on the entry. So I ended up jumping into this trade at 7:30. I'm a breakout trader, or at least I'm one that likes to take trades off breakouts or breaking through a big level. 7:30 was a big level, at least heading into the early afternoon. Man, this thing hasn't been halted yet. That's crazy. I'm going to pull up some bookmap picture here for you guys. 7 was the bigger volume-based support heading into the morning, going into the afternoon, broke through it, and moved back up. A bit of a fail. It was shaking through. And then from here, once it bursted through 7, this was really the first entry heading into the afternoon. Once it bursted through 7 on the way up. But notice what happened here. 7:30, we ended up seeing a lot of volume on the offer. Darker red line going this way would indicate we ended up seeing a bigger order on the ask, resistance here at the time. 750, you would assume for there to be a lot of volume there as well, but not so much. at least not at that given time. So, it ended up making a big pop over 730. I ended up getting greedy. I thought this would make a sharper move up. And for as much as this moved up, I didn't get out. I ended up taking a 3-cent loss on this, I wrote. It popped over 730. I'd entered. It slammed under 730. I was afraid of the pump and dump. And for what it's worth, it did dump back down under 7. I ended up setting up a new stop limit order, though. Once it did that, I ended up setting up a new order on the ask if it were to break above 730. So once it ended up slamming through the level, I mean, I was prepping for this meeting. So all of a sudden I hear from TradeStation that big robotic voice, order filled. And all of a sudden I flip over. I knew what I was in. So I quickly flipped to missed. I ended up setting up my stop, but obviously it wasn't needed at the time. Man, this thing ended up making a huge pop, of course, all the way up now at this point. Is the halt in? Yep, there it is. There's the halt. Missed. All right, cool. I mean, hey, for the afternoon, ABUS and missed. This one's not shortable, but I don't really care about that really at this point. Going into the afternoon, up 179+%. Let me take a look on the daily chart. Oh, look at this. It's almost completed a gap fill here back from mid-March. I'll zoom in on that. Give me a quick sec. So I'd say more so there was support around 11, so there still could be some room to go on this trade. Ended up bouncing 1133, the low back from the 17th, 1125, the low from the 20th. So, that seems to line up. 11 as a whole number, of course, I would assume for that to be pretty big. The low here back from the 18th, 958. So really that's the first, point that we have to work off of as far as the chart. As far as the order book, you would assume for 950, but this might even open up much higher. So you don't know where this will open up off its halt here, guys. It's 235 right now. Or it was halted at 235, current time 237. So we'll come back to this trade. Just chat to me when it reopens up, guys. I'll jump right back to it. All right, not a bad start at least. Let's see what else we can get. And if there's anything else that we ended up catching from earlier today, guys, obviously we'll look to just run it down quick, review it. All right, this will not be reviewed because we did not trade this one. HCACW, it's like a tongue twister symbol. Yeah, we're going to skip over this. ABUS, we're going to skip over for obvious reasons. We already put that one on our list. And B-Cove, interesting. I didn't trade this one, but I'll look to at least check it out. Trading about 11, 12,000 shares per minute. Probably will have a sporadic or a little chaotic spread. Order book kind of thin. I feel like the stock already made its big move across the day. If there's a need to come back to it, I will, but for right now, I'll pass. This RNet trade, how about this? We did pretty well on this trade shortly after the market opened up. We didn't really focus on this like early in pre-market, but after 9:30, obviously we saw the big pop. It pulled back, and then really from that point, we ended up seeing this make a huge push right over resistance off of 250, 260. From there, it took off very nicely, as you could see. Ended up making a higher high, steady trend all the way up towards the whole number resistance, the high of the day at 4, lower high, and most importantly, guys, and I failed to call this out at the time, RNet was shortable, and still is right now at least. So, when I talk about a stock that's up like 50, 60%, that's near the highs, if it is shortable, it's very well worth, watching. I mean, if it's trading no volume, then it's not. But I mean, if it ends up breaking through a big support, if it ends up, as I always tend to say, crapping out the other way, going in reverse, then, it would be great to try and, take on the way down. So this obviously already made a big move. I feel like this can make a higher low perhaps coming up, perhaps around that 3 level, maybe 290-ish. But yeah, for right now, this RNet trade, I have no issue putting this back on our list. PLM, I guess a little cheapy ran up earlier. The CBA trade's been teasing me. So this one was on our pre-market list. I think it was on our morning watch list leading into the open. It ended up making a nice little run after 9:30, pulled back and then shot off after up towards 5. So that move was, expected. That was pretty nice to take. But going into the afternoon, it was building this like wedge, this like lower high, higher low pattern. And I ended up going short from 450. It dropped off a little bit, but it just stalled out. I thought it was going to give me a lot more than this. Ended up, pulling back up. I took a really tiny profit on the trade. And as you can see right now, I mean, it still technically is tradable. But for right now, I mean, just given the tight range. I mean, maybe it's kind of coiling up, waiting for this, 3:30 time slot going into the final 30 minutes. But yeah, for right now, I'll pass on this trade. I just feel like this one hasn't been worth it today. If it's not today, hey, maybe it's tomorrow. So I'm not going to fully write this one off. All right, let's see what else we can get. Missed at 10, Pat says. All right, we're going to jump to it. And I may have been a minute or a few seconds late on that. Let's see. So it ended up reopening up same price, but spiked immediately up to 10, $9.99. These guys know what they're doing. See, this would be a good time to use like the 15-second chart. A 1-minute candle doesn't really do it here for us here. Like as far as chart reading, you don't really see me pull that out as much, but you can see the pennant building here. And then, at least for right now, it hasn't really broken much lower yet, but get back over 950 and hold over it, I'd say there's a better shot of this breaking a higher high through 10. All right, well, we'll come back to this at the very end, guys. So I appreciate the heads up just on the reopen. I guess let me switch back to a 1 minute. Things dropping off now. All right. What else do we have? HLX. Fausto was calling this one out earlier today. This was one of our better trades after the market opened up. As you can see right now, making a small little push here. So, yeah, I mean, easily I'll just put this on our list. But to discuss this trade from earlier today, we ended up seeing this take off like immediately after the market opened up right from support 440. Ended up making some shake right around the pre-market highs. From there, ended up breaking higher at least. And then from there, the volume died off. So, yeah, for what it's worth, we'll put this stock back on our list. It's been holding strong, at least off the lows. It's pushing back up right now. So maybe there is one final burst on this trade going into the afternoon. Or if it ends up kind of rounding off here, crapping out, then short. But yeah, still pretty active for a $4 stock right now, I'd say. All right. What else? OMI. This has been like a daily mover for us this week. At least Tuesday, big pop, ended up gapping down early Wednesday pre-market, dumped off, was shortable. So we ended up missing this move. I remember we didn't trade this one early in the morning. Of course, we did well otherwise, but you can't catch them all. Going into this morning, ended up obviously breaking higher from Tuesday, holding though 15 though for the afternoon. And yeah, I don't think we'll miss out on this trade now at this point. We'll put this on our list still. The OMI. I've been getting pinged on Tupperware store. Whole day, or not store, Tupperware brand. I'm thinking TCS, the Container Store, I think. Yeah. All right. Well, going back to TUP, the one that is tradable here, I was getting pinged all day on this trade. I couldn't believe it. I mean, for a stock to break higher and higher across the morning is easy, but you'd expect it to flatten out, die off going into the early afternoon, at least the mid-afternoon. This thing kept going. So I guess now at this point, still kind of pulling back down towards 9. The volume did wane down on this one quite a bit. If anything, I mean, it is at a really strong support off of 9 and off the VWAP. So you hope to see that hold and for this to break higher or at least make a move closer to the highs going into the afternoon. I'll come back to this. I want to see if there's better options, anything a little bit more volatile than this heading into the afternoon. Market's dumped off. So, I mean, I want to see if there's anything like from our side list that's moving with the market on the way down, anything taking a hit. Airlines were doing great earlier today, but obviously things fell off there. We'll get to that in a moment. EMAG flat. TNXP, familiar name. A little squeeze up from earlier today. Looks like it had a small little bounce. We ended up trading this earlier in the week. For right now, though, not really doing anything. CLSN, another one that ended up making a big move, I think. Yeah, this was from earlier this morning. Obviously, as you can see, the volume died off. This ended up dying off with it. You got to figure at some point, looking at this gap fill opportunity, just the more and more this will begin to build up towards 150, or if it does, if it end up making a sharper move earlier in the morning, kind of like it did here, but breaking higher above this resistance on the daily chart, it would allow for a really nice gap fill on the way up. Much like the mistrade, right? All right, let's hop over to the losers list, guys. If there's anything else that's up, like 5 or 10% plus, just let me know if there's anything like looking really good. We'll hop over to the losers list though. A bunch of crap hard to borrow. The C test thing's still like distracting me. We went over that I think last meeting. It's like a thing from TradeStation. CHEK, not really doing too well. Pat's calling out the ABUS, just saying, wow. We'll get to that here in just in a sec. QFIN, I saw this on the losers list earlier today, but I think there's one better that looks likely to land on our list. We'll get to that in a second here. Bingo, BNGO. I'm in this trade right now. I'm actually break even as we speak. I ended up doing part of my position off of 75 cents. No, off of 73 cents, that is pretty much right where it is. And then I ended up averaging down a little bit slightly, not to where I wanted to get it, off of 70. When I ended up pushing back up right around 72, I ended up adding more. So for as much as we traded this earlier in the week, it dived off, right? We ended up seeing this drop in the afternoon yesterday, dropped early on this morning. So at this point, I was kind of calling this out in the trading room, looking for a bit of a dead cat bounce on this trade. Just because I'm in it doesn't mean that we're going to put it on our list, though. I feel like there could just be better opportunity for all of us. I'm not necessarily expecting this to like pop to 90. So, if I can get out at like 78, 79 cents, I'd be pretty content. So if you want to follow me on that trade, by all means, but I want to see if there's anything a little bit more volatile, anything looking a little bit sharper. Man, it wasn't even on the losers list, the one I was referring to just before. Got a bunch of stuff that's easy to borrow here. Well, at least check these out. A couple of these. BGFE. Nah. No other familiar names. Nothing else really like ringing a bell. AUPH, I guess, but what goes up comes back down. If you could short it, that would be the play, obviously, or otherwise. You know what? We'll go, figure both ways. Why not? So if this ends up potentially squeezing up, if the shorts cover on this trade heading into the afternoon, then this would be worth watching for a potential quick scalp or a buy. So yeah, I will put this on our list. And I mean, otherwise, just because I can't short it doesn't mean that you guys can't. So, hey, if you have interactive brokers, TOS, you name it. I mean, otherwise from TradeStation, just check to see if your broker, if you can get the shares to short. That's all. All right, the one I was going to talk about, though, the one I was referring to just before, IQ. It's down 7%, so I guess it didn't make the top side of the losers here, but dropped off earlier. This was a really nice steady drop off, great short opportunity. I guess for right now, I didn't check in on the stock in quite a bit, so obviously really flat. It's near the lows, which I do like, but just way too flat for the last, like 2 hours now, so. All right, guys. Anything else up, down, left, right? 5, 10%. I'll guess just like 10%. I'll just say if I say 5 to 10. But yeah, anything looking pretty good, just let me know. Leo calling out the IBIO. Nah, this one's not doing it for me. Traded this earlier during our live audio commentary inside our trading room earlier today. We ended up calling this out. Fausto and myself, we ended up taking this trade off of 6 and 610. I got out at 635, left some money on the table, but ended up squeezing up to 650. False breakout, right back down. Kathleen calling out VXRT, then definitely one that I like. I'll tell you that much. Nice bounce. Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's so funny, actually. Okay, so I was thinking, I was like, when did I call this stock out earlier? I was like, was it the morning? Was it the afternoon? So I ended up just finishing up a coaching session earlier at like 1:30 with one of our students. And I had told him at the time, we were looking at Bookmap, just what I had showed you before, that program, level 4. And I was saying, we had so much volume filled off of 14 here, and it was really failing to break lower at the time. So I told him, hey, if this can break over 14 and hold over 14, like it was like afternoon right here, going into 1:30. I told him at the time, if it could break over 14, hold over 14 right here, I'd be interested in a squeeze up. It's all about the setup, right? Obviously, it didn't make that move. Ended up dragging right back down. Thing got crushed shortly afterwards. So, as far as like a quick entry and buying a stock, that's exactly why we would never look to buy a stock underneath a big volume-based level. So, 14 held like a magnet, ended up dropping off right afterwards. Took a long while to get the gears going on that trade. 1407, Kathleen, I'm just going to put right away on the chart. It's the opening bell print. So, you know what? I don't mind putting this on our list at this point, Kathleen. Good call. Great big squeeze up off 13 or 1322-ish, the low. Checking on the airlines, the side list stocks, and that'll wrap it up. So yeah, well, first I gotta say AAL off earnings, right? American Airlines ended up posting earnings this morning. Ended up another one that took a long while to get going. Consolidated over 11. We ended up seeing this drop down. I took a nice short on this trade for what it's worth from the opening bell print on AAL from 11.25 down to 11, 11 like 07-ish. I got out some. I mean, not like a huge profit to write home about, but it was a good trade. Obviously, ended up holding support off the whole number. I think at the time there was like a 1 million share order on the bid that we had seen. So it obviously held, pushed back up, and from there, I mean, took off. Ended up making a huge run up, extended move up towards the eventual high of the day, 1241. So I wouldn't mind putting AAL just back on our list, given the volatility, given the range and volume the stock's been trading. Want to check in just on the other airlines, though. It seems like they're all kind of making the same move, though. It's not just AAL off earnings. Delta making a very similar move up, back down, hold off support there. United Airlines, same thing. I mean, really just the whole sector. Jets, right? Yeah. Let me ask you guys, because I haven't found this. I mean, I did my research. So if you guys know, let me know. Is there like a cruise line ETF? Jets is the airline ETF. So, that's good to follow for all of the airlines that we tend to day trade. All the ones I just showed, JetBlue, Save. Do you guys know, is there like a cruise line ETF? I didn't see any. Would have been nice to have this whole time with like NCLH, RCL, CCL, etc. I feel like these are fairly active too. So, I guess altogether, I'm not going to put, I guess I won't put any of these like on the main list. I'll just say this, if you've made money across the board today on any one of these stocks, the airlines and cruise lines, put it on your personal list. All of these stocks are tradable. Tight spread, liquid order book, probably the same to be said. Not to say they're all sectors that trade the same way, but the entertainment, casino stocks, Penn National Gaming, MGM, said those inversely. Dave and Buster's even. We've been trading that on and off. Six Flags a little bit. Kind of spotty volume, though. But you guys get the gist. I mean, it feels like we have a very active market across the board. Market dropped off, but I feel like things have been holding strong otherwise. So, hey, if you ended up making money earlier today on a Penn or a Delta or an AAL, and, if you consistently make money on those stocks, stick to it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right. And then we got from Abdallah, AMD. Yeah, I want to check in on that. That's a good call, too, because AMD yesterday breaking all-time highs. I'd say the same thing. AMD really moving with the Dow today, you could say. I mean, like near carbon copy this afternoon. Earlier this morning, it ended up making a sharper drop-off before the Dow did, but then Dow obviously moved after. All right. I think the two that we had on the side, if I'm not mistaken, Tupperware and CBay. Again, just tradable stocks. Tup's getting closer to that high. I do like. And CBay is just, I mean, I feel like Fausto would fire me for putting the stock on our list. It's just doing nothing. So, yeah, Tupperware will make the cut. CBay will not, and Fausto wouldn't fire me. All right, guys, we're good to go. So in total, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 stocks on our list heading into the afternoon. For anybody streaming on across social media, Facebook, YouTube, if you guys would like to learn more about Cyber Trading University, at least first, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and then hit the notification bell on YouTube. Give you guys a good idea as far as when we're live, when we're not. Otherwise, I'm going to post the phone number right here in the chat board, 516-280-5350. All right, guys. For all of us here live inside the trading room, you guys know the deal. We'll post and tweet the pics, and the audio commentary will resume from here. All right, take care.